Welcome. We're going to get started here. It's August 13th.
Oh,
We are starting a District 1 workshop here in the Nevada City Chambers. We are also live streaming, which is why I'm saying all that. And I guess that means we're on YouTube forever. So pressure's on. Come on in. There are some handouts at the front door. We'd love for you to sign in. We good technically? Good. Please forgive us any glitches. We had to do some last minute shuffling. And so hang in there with us on the technical piece. But welcome. My name is Heidi Hall. I'm the District 1 representative for you here at the county. And I'm very happy to see this crowd and to have you come out tonight to hear us talk about some important things. Because we have a great speaker and a couple of big topics, I'm going to jump right in, do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to go right into the presentation. So one thing I would love for you to sign in for in the front is because I send out a newsletter every 3 months or so, and I try to touch on the biggest issues from the last quarter or year. It's a great way to stay up on what's going on. A lot of the things are kind of short with links to more information. You can also go on the website and sign up there, but if you sign in, we will make sure that you get it. So tonight we have a couple of big topics. One is on fire insurance and the other is on preparedness, wildfire preparedness. And because they're big and I want to make sure we answer a lot of questions, we're going to try to monitor the time, but if we go a little long, we will cut short the end of the program, which is just sort of some generic updates for District 1 that really I can walk through or you can ask questions about. And so technically, I'm going to ask you all to hold your questions till the end of the presentations. And you can only ask questions if you're in this room. You're special here. We don't have a setup for people to ask questions online right now. So one of the things that I've been working on for the last 2 years is getting more deeply and broadly informed on the fire insurance crisis that I know we are all feeling here throughout the state and in many ways throughout the country. In doing so, I've had the opportunity to hear some really great speakers, folks who are working on this issue, who've been doing that for many, many years, who are at committee hearings, who are making presentations across the country. And just this last year, I was asked at the California Association of Counties to lead a working group for the state of California on this issue. That's very exciting because CSAC, this organization, can speak for all of the counties. And we're bringing in speakers, and Amy, our featured speaker tonight, was one of them. We're bringing in speakers to educate ourselves, and then we're going to come up with a series of recommendations that we will be taking to Commissioner Lara, to Governor Newsom, to the legislature, to anyone who will listen to help do something about this insurance crisis. We know it's big and complicated and will take time, but it's also important. One of the messages I carry all the time is that the effects on the ground for homeowners in counties is very, very real. And we need solutions as we go along that might be shorter term as the bigger term solutions come. So to that, I'm going to introduce our speaker, Amy Bach. She is Executive Director of United Policyholders. She's been a professional insurance consumer advocate since 1985 and co-founded United Policyholders in 1991 and serves as the organization's executive director and primary spokesperson. She's nationally recognized as an advocate for policyholders and an expert on insurance trends, claims, coverage, law, and public policy matters. She's in her second term as an appointed member of the Federal Advisory Committee on Insurance and has been an official consumer representative with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners since 2009. She's also a member of the Fire Victim Trust Oversight Committee and a Redwood Credit Union Associate Board member. And she is taking time out of her evening from a conference that she's attending in Chicago, I believe. So we're so grateful, Amy, that you're taking the time here. I know her to be a wealth of knowledge, and so we're gonna let her just run the show for the next 20 minutes or so, and then we will open it up to some of your questions. So Amy, thank you so much, and take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Supervisor Hall. I have to say to all of you out there in Nevada City, two things before we get into the everybody's favorite topic of insurance. One is you have a very, very good representative in Heidi. She is we met at a conference and she heard me speak and she said, I really want to bring some of your information to my constituents, and that's what's happening tonight. So that's one. And two is to say that your community is a wonderful community, and I don't think anyone deserves what's happening with the insurance situation, with the prices going up and the stress and the real, and it's not, it's more than stress, it's real pain, economic pain that many households are feeling. And you're just, it doesn't really make you feel better to tell you that you're just one of many communities that's going through this, not just in California, but all across the country. Things are in a very unprecedented state right now with home insurance and commercial property insurance, pricing, competition, things. We've never seen anything like this. I've been a insurance consumer advocate since the 1980s, when I saw that insurance companies kind of were writing their own ticket in the legislature where I am from in New York. And I thought, geez, the buyer, the consumer, the policyholder really needs a source of trustworthy information, like what's really going on here, and help making good decisions for your situation, your assets. So I co-founded United Policyholders. I came out to California in the late 80s to get a law degree because insurance policies are legal contracts. And in order to be able to go toe to toe with insurance companies and their lobbyists, I needed to have that cred. So I'm a lawyer. But really, what I'm here to bring you tonight is best I can. I don't have a magic wand. I wish that I did, to bring your insurance prices back to where they were, and bring you back to where you were, of not having to think about it and not having to worry about insurance, and paying under 1,000 or close to 1,000 a year to keep your home and your assets protected, to where you are now. But I wanted to say in my number two, the point, which is now getting very long, that I love Nevada City. I have a friend who moved up there many years ago from the Bay Area. And in order to keep connected with her friends, she would have a party every year, and I would come up and we would stay there. We stayed at the Outside Inn. We stayed at various places. And I fell really in love with your community. And so, swim in the Yuba River. You have a beautiful community, and I am here tonight to try to give you some really practical information and some strategies. So I'm gonna share my screen for a minute here, and we're gonna go to a PowerPoint that I put together. I've been using it, sad to say, quite a bit over the last, oh gosh, it's been years now, that things started to really change for California homeowners with regard to what they're paying for insurance, and your choices, and the way the market is working. And also what we now know about wildfires, and about what we can do to make it less likely that our homes are going to be damaged or destroyed. And the very important information you're going to get right after me from your some of your local firefighting heroes. I just want to make sure you have your ears open, because part of what I'm going to tell you is, as beautiful as your community is, and as many gifts as you have with the trees and all the beauty, that you're on the radar for insurance companies. You've experienced wildfire. You know what that's about. And then you're feeling what's happening today. And I'm going to try to give you a little bit of an explanation and as much tips as I can. So UP, you already heard, we're a nonprofit. So we don't take money from insurance companies. We give you the straight scoop. We really have a lot of expertise in how the insurance market works and how you can best navigate to be treated fairly in buying it and also in using it. So our website, which you can see on the left of my screen there, that's our website URL. We have intentionally created a free website that has all kinds of way TMI for the average person. In the past, people didn't have to pay attention much at all to insurance, but now you do. So you can go on our website, you can look things up, you can get information, you can check it again. If you're having trouble sleeping, you can go on there and, read up and maybe it'll help you sleep. Anyway, so this is what we're about. We are keeping an eagle eye on what's happening in the California home insurance and commercial insurance marketplaces and doing our best to continue to bring solutions to you as well as tips. So we're talking to everybody all the time. So if you got dropped, that means you got non-renewed. That means that the insurance company that had been insuring your home has told you we're not going to insure you anymore. So what do? You start shopping right away. As soon as you get that notice, you need all that time in this market to find a replacement policy. You can certainly try and talk your current insurer into changing their mind and renewing you, offering you a renewal policy. But what we say is like keep shopping while you're trying to work with your current insurer to see if they will change their mind. You want to ask them about your risk score. What's my risk score? That's kind of a newish thing. It's just like, what a credit score is? Well, now you have an insurance score. But there's not one company that puts those scores on you. There's a bunch of different companies and they have different scoring programs. Some of them go 1 to 30, some of them go 1 to 100. But so each insurance company is buying their own risk score program. So your score may be a 5, it might be a 10. It just depends. But what you want to know is why did you get the score that you got? Were there any mistakes? Were there any erroneous conclusions that your insurance company drew about your property? So we recommend getting help from an experienced, proactive insurance agent. Get as much information as you can on your own, but then get help from a pro. In the old days, before all this started happening and the market started going kind of crazy, weird, we're sort of a DIY nonprofit, do it yourself, so a lot of our information is aimed at saying to you, you already paid for insurance, you shouldn't have to hire help or you shouldn't have to pay. But in reality, these days, you very often do have to either pay an agent commission to get good advice, to buy insurance, and that's generally going to be worth it. And if you have a claim, you may need to hire professional help there as well. But again, UP in our hearts is here to help you make good decisions and be your own best advocate. That's what we're about. So when we say get help from an experienced agent, it's not because we like insurance agents. I mean, we don't have, we don't really have an opinion about that. What we want is for you to get the best advice that is available to you. And in this market, where you may have to get insured through a company you've never heard of and you don't see their ads on the TV, you need an inside person often to know, oh, you might be able to get a policy with SureSage. What? Who? And you're not going to find out about some of these companies unless you work with an agent. So that's why we're saying that. Ask good questions, keep good notes. So important. If the California Fair Plan turns out to be your only option right now for insuring your home, that's okay. Go there, but keep shopping while you're in there because the market is dynamic. Things change, even after you get that Fair Plan policy in place. And also understand that the Fair Plan it's not a one size fits all plan. There's different options. So understanding those, and we're going to go through those a little bit. I mean, I'm going to ask Supervisor Hall to please keep me on time. Give me a little warning here on the 20 minutes because I didn't hit the timer when I started, so I don't know how long we've gone. So thank you. And finally, be prepared to make risk reduction home improvements. This is so important. You know, the price now for living in a beautiful place like you do is you're going to have to do some things that you may not want to do, such as remove the plants and trees that are within the 5 feet perimeter of your home, or limb up those trees so that you don't have any branches touching your home. This is just for your own benefit. You don't want to have any wicks that would lead a fire to your house. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but you got to be prepared to make those home improvements. My organization and many other people are working very hard to bring you help to do those things. Grants, technical help, tell that checklist of the things that you need to do, right? You hopefully your firefighting agency in your area has been spreading the word about the home improvements that experts now know will make it less likely that your home will burn. And unfortunately, it's not just about you and what you do, it's about your whole community. So this is really a team effort here. We got to get as many homes risk reduced as we can in communities. Partner with your fire fighting agency in your community so that they can do some of the big picture stuff in the common areas. You do what you can, your neighbors do what they can, and together you get a better fire resistant community that insurance companies will be more interested in investing in and insuring. That's just where we are. What are the rules? Your insurer has to give you 75 days notice before if they're not going to offer you a renewal policy when your current one expires. The way the law works now, they can drop you. They do have to tell you your risk score. They're supposed to tell you a reason, but of course they can tell you, you don't fit with our guidelines, and then, okay, what do you do there? They do have to tell you your risk score, and they do have to offer you an appeal process for improving your score. So that's important. That's new. It's only been on the books for about a year, and everybody's still trying to figure out how this exactly works, but you got to be that squeaky wheel. You got to say, why did I get that score? What can I do to improve my score? Because your score is very important in terms of which insurers are going to offer you a policy and at what price. So the better they think, the better risk they think you are, the more options you're going to have and the less you're going to pay. And some of that takes work that is painful, taking out some of the plants that you love, and changing out things that seem like they're fine, like your siding or replacing your roof, which is, I don't mean to make light of that. That's, I know, a very big ticket item, and some people are being asked to do that. And it's expensive and it's painful, and there are resources to help you with those expenses. Go to our website, visit our WRAP Resource Center. You'll get some of that type of help. Fair Plan, what is it? It's not an insurance company. It's not a government program. It's in between. The legislature said to insurance companies in 1968 in California, when people in the inner cities couldn't get insurance because of urban rioting, the legislature said, okay, insurance companies, you want to do business in California, you're going to have to take some of the risks that you don't want in order to get some that you do want, right? So it's an involuntary association of private insurance companies. So they operate, they're a little bit of their own island, the Fair Plan. But they have lots of responsibilities under the law. They're not perfect, that's for sure, but they're there for you, and that's really important. One of the first mitigation discounts that got approved in California is for Fair Plan. You can get a discount of up to 15% on your Fair Plan premium if you have met one of these two standards, safer from wildfires or the wildfire prepared home standard. They're very similar. I'll explain that in a minute. There are lots going on the political front that we're not going to really talk about too much. Right now, I want to say a lot of you are getting non-renewed on the basis of photographs that were taken from either manned drones or satellites. Insurance companies are buying that data from these data vendors that are flying those drones and selling that data. It's causing a lot of problems. We're trying to rein it in. We've got a proposal out there that you should be able to get copies of photos of your home. You should get enough time to fix whatever the problem is that the insurer has identified. They should tell you what the problem is. And then we want them, if you do the work that they've said you need to do to make your home less likely to be damaged or destroyed in a wildfire, they should offer you a policy. But that is a work in progress. Know your risk, know your rights. That's your right to know what your risk score is. I mentioned that earlier. 4 types of insurance companies. The ones you know, they're called admitted. State Farm, Farmers, Fireman's Fund, CSAA, USAA. Those are all admitted licensed, meaning they're fully regulated in California. There's another kind of insurance company that is now picking up a lot of the homes that the traditional insurers had been covering, but now no longer want. And so those are called non-admitted. You don't really need to worry about this nomenclature, but what you need to know about is, do they have enough financial strength to be there for me down the road? And there's a couple ways you can figure that out. There's the government created FAIR Plan, California Earthquake Authority. And the 4th kind is the default. If you have a mortgage and you let your home insurance lapse, your mortgage company is going to force place a policy. They're going to buy a policy for you, and they're going to tack that premium onto your debt, what you owe them for your mortgage. So that's the 4th kind, okay? And we don't want you to go there because those policies are very expensive for what you get, and they increase your debt, and they really only protect the lender. They only protect the amount of your loan. They don't protect all your stuff, your assets, and what you have invested. Okay. Those admitted licensed companies, that's always going to be, that's where you want to be if you can, right? They are regulated. If they run out of money, you have a backstop. That's the admitted licensed companies. And the Department of Insurance, DOI, offers a home insurance finder. You can try that. I mentioned these other companies before this all started going so wacky. I never would have even talked about this type of insurance company because they really weren't insuring homes. They were insuring weird things like boiler and machinery factories and things that other insurers didn't really know how to price. Now, they are moving into the residential market, and because they're willing to take more risks. They are less regulated. They're not protected by the guarantee fund. Their rates and forms are not regulated by the department. But I don't want you to say, well, I'd never go with one of those, because honestly, you really need to get your quotes and then compare. If you get a quote from a surplus lines insurer and you get a quote from the FAIR Plan, you need to just figure out which one's the better deal for you. And don't knock out the surplus lines company just because of all these negatives, right? Some of them, like Lloyd's of London affiliates, all these companies I mentioned here, they all have enough financial strength for us to mention them here. And this is a way you can check on any company that you've never heard of to see, like, how are they doing. But honestly, even the companies that you have heard of, some of them have gotten their ratings downgraded, because the reality is we're in a new era with climate change. So we're all trying to figure this out, okay? FAIR Plan coverage is very basic. The most you can buy would be 3 million max on your dwelling. They cover fire. That's the main thing, fire and smoke. If you want to get the same type of protection that you had with your regular policy, you have to buy a second policy. difference in conditions. So you now have to buy two policies if you're with the FAIR plan to have the same protection that you had with one in the past, right? Hopefully this is temporary. We're going to move through this, but for now, I'm just giving you the best advice that I have available, right? So you can buy these two policies and then you have that comprehensive coverage. Some of the options you can get through the FAIR plan, you can get, and I highly recommend, if you can afford it, buying replacement cost coverage. So you're not buying just the depreciated actual cash value. That doesn't put you in the same position you were. It puts you in it gives you less than what it would actually cost to replace and repair. It's cheaper. That's why a lot of people go for it. But we recommend, if you can buy it, opt for the replacement cost coverage. These are some of the options that you can increase through the FAIR plan. For a normal policy, when the category of coverage of benefits that pays for your lodging, your temporary living, if you can no longer use your house, in a typical home policy, that's called additional living expense or temporary living expense or loss of use. In insurance, they never use one word. It's always like many different words. I'm here to try to boil it down for you. Fair rental value, same thing. Loss, but it's the same thing in that it's if you couldn't live in your house, there was a fire, you couldn't live there, and you need another place to live, what kind of money would this policy give you to pay for that other place, right? In a normal home insurance policy, it's going to be a set dollar amount. In a FAIR plan policy, they're going to say, what could your home have rented for? I'm getting in the weeds here. I got to keep moving. We don't have a lot of time. These are some of the other options that you want to pay attention to if you're going with the FAIR plan. Hopefully, you can be eligible for some of these FAIR plan discounts. Hardened home, that means your home itself has been improved. You've gotten rid of any kind of, shake shingles. You've got a Class A roof. You've got some space between the ground and any kind of siding. You've got double pane windows. There's a few other things. That's the hardened home. 5% for defensible space. That means that those immediate surroundings, the 5 feet around your home that firefighters say is what makes the difference in their ability to save a home that's threatened by wildfires. That's clear space around the home. Very important, very hard for a lot of homeowners to go there because we love our trees, we love our plants, we love our shade. But we also have this reality that experts are saying you need that defensible space. And then you also can get a discount for being in a fire-wise community, which hopefully you are. So these are the things I was mentioning earlier. Class A fire-rated roof. You got to have vent screens over any of your openings in the building so that embers can't fly in. You want to have 6 inches at the bottom of exterior walls made of non-combustible material. You want to have enclosed eaves. You want to have double pane windows. You want to clear vegetation and debris from under the decks. I think the next speakers will probably go into more detail about these things, but these are the things that experts have said. These are the things that make it possible for firefighters to save your home. And these are the things that we need you to do. I talked about that. This is the DIC policy that you can pair with a FAIR plan. You want to ask these questions. And I'm going to give this slide deck to Supervisor Hall, and she can share it with you after tonight. Agents and brokers, I mentioned earlier, they can help you access options that you might not be able to find on your own. They can explain all this stuff to you. If everything I said goes right over your head, they can advise you. Some of these decisions are hard. Should I take a higher deductible? Should I drop this coverage? What can I do to make this thing affordable, this policy affordable? How do what should you look for in insurance agents? Integrity, honesty, savvy, like I say jokingly, but not really. You want to get an agent that's not drowning their sorrows in the local tavern every day, because believe me, this market's tough on you It's very tough on agents. They're not making as much money as they used to. A lot of agents are retiring because it's so hard right now. And it's humiliating for them because they pride themselves on being able to help their clients find a good policy. And these days, it's just can be really, really hard. Hopefully, this is going to pass. There's a lot of people working to fix this. Okay. So we're just here talking about getting through this phase that we're in. All right. And then you want an agent who really understands the FAIR plan. Back in the day, most agents, they would never want to put you with the FAIR plan because of the things that the FAIR plan doesn't cover. But now, desperate times call for desperate measures. So the FAIR plan, a lot of agents are boning up, and that's what you need. You need an agent who's staying current. They're not just wishing for things that are not happening right now, right? What is now is what we have to deal with. These are some of the reasons your insurer may not offer you a new policy. Maybe you put in a claim or more than one claim. They're not happy about that. Don't talk to me about the irony of that, right? You pay for this product, you should be able to use it. But with technology, insurers have a good view on your history. And if you have been filing claims, they hold that against you. It's not right. It is what it is right now. The age of your home can be a problem. The age of your roof can be a problem. If you have galvanized pipes, not copper, that could be a problem. Knob and tube wiring, you have a pool. These are all the things that insurers are paying attention to now that they had not been really paying as much attention to in the past. A lot of insurance agencies have a quota now. They can only sell 2 new Safeco policies a month or 2 new Hartford policies a month. And then the business objectives of the insurers in the area that they're currently insuring. You'll hear this thing where insurers will say, there's too much density. What that means is that they're worried that they're insuring too many homes in that area. And if they all went down at the same time, that they wouldn't be able to pay all those claims at once. It's a legitimate business concern, but that's what they're looking at. What can you do to try to make your policy affordable? Find out what discounts the insurer offers. Ask for those you qualify for. Bundle your home auto policy or umbrella, if you have one, with one insurer if possible. Work with a proactive insurance agent or broker, that's really like digging in the bushes to find new options, right? Raise your deductible. I carry a $5,000 deductible. I'm on my home. I'm hearing about people carrying 10, 15, 20. It's horrible to think about it because you're like, oh my God, you mean I have to lay out that kind of money if I have a claim? But it is going to bring the price down of your policy. Higher deductible should reduce your premium. Also, don't file small claims. I'm sorry to be here again to tell you, don't use the product you're paying for, but be smart. If it's a small claim and you can pay it out of pocket, pay it out of pocket so you don't have that record, because your record feeds into your risk score. Your risk score feeds into what you get charged. Reduce or eliminate buckets of coverage you can live without. High dollar limits on contents. Coverage for a garage or outbuilding. Maybe you don't even have that, right? And then mitigate. Harden your home. Create defensible space. Give the insurer proof. Give them invoices. Give them photos. Give them documentation, okay? And like I said, don't file small claims. Do what you can to be a better risk. Put in a moisture sensor. Put in a fire, I'm sorry, not a fire alarm. Sprinklers, no. A burglar alarm. Bundling discounts, you should get that. And here's a little bit of good news. There's a lot of energy, time, and money going into reducing wildfire risk in California. A lot. You've got all these programs. RAP, that's an initiative that I founded 6 years ago, I think. We have people from all over the state, firefighting experts, homeowners, public officials, the Department of Insurance company the data vendors, the Institute for Home and Business Safety, scientists, everybody trying to figure this out. Oh my gosh, we got to figure this out. Lot of work going on. So my WRAP, Wildfire Risk Reduction Asset Protection Initiative, we meet every month. We offer a free WRAP Resource Center. You can click on your county, find out, is there a chipper day coming up? Are there grants available? Who can I call to come and inspect my home and tell me what I can do to become a better risk and qualify for discounts? So this is all free for you on our website. I've already talked about this. These are the things you can do to improve your home's chances. And I don't mean to make it sound like it's a walk in the park, so easy, la, la, la. I know it isn't. But that is the price that we are now paying for living in the beautiful state of California. And honestly, it's not just California. I'm at a conference here in Chicago. Every state in the country is having problems. Home insurance prices are going up, availability is going down, competition is going down. It's a combination of forces. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of time to talk about why this is happening. We're just trying to figure out what we can do about it. Okay. Wildfire Prepared Home, that's a program that you can apply to get a designation as a wildfire prepared home. You've got to meet their checklist. This is the Institute for Home and Business and Home Safety. The insurance industry supports this. It's a research institution. They're doing incredibly important work. They will tell you what you need to do. They will send somebody out. You can apply. This is the process for getting that certificate. If you can get it, get it. It's not easy. It can be done. Try. So what are my messages in closing? Despite limited options and high prices, be prepared, not scared. Get educated, get help, try to keep your property insured, do your comparison shopping as best you can, create a home inventory with your phone, go around your house, make a video. Here's all my stuff. If God forbid you have a fire, you've got a good record, store it in a safe place. Here's my bedroom set that we got from Macy's, and etc. So you've got that inventory. Help your
Amy,
be fire wise and fire safe. Wrap up.
yes, thank you.
Wrap up. Mitigate. It's worth it. I'm here to tell you, if I can't tell you to not feed your family just to pay your insurance, right? I know these are hard decisions, but I'm here to say that the myth that the government will bail you out if you have a fire is a myth, okay? So, like I said, I'm going to give this slide deck to your supervisor. She can send it out. One last ask before I sign off, please take a few minutes, go on our website, take our home insurance survey. Tell us what's going on. Did you get dropped? Who dropped you? Did you replace it? What happened?
Amy, can you hear
Back
me?
when insurance matters. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It's my privilege to be able to be of service to your community.
Okay, Amy, can you hear me now?
You're on
If
mute.
you- We're working on it.
On mute, she said yes.
Can you hear? Oh, she said yes. Amy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I was trying to give you time checks, but was having trouble getting it through. So we're gonna switch over to questions. Thank you. This is such great information. I'm gonna ask the audience with your questions to keep it short and ask Amy to do the same because I think it's hard for me to interrupt you and ask you to wrap it
I'm
up.
so
But
sorry. I didn't hear you.
it's awesome. You have so much to say. You could go for hours and we could keep learning, but, so I'm gonna turn it over for questions. I'm just gonna ask, I know we all have fire insurance stories and actually we're collecting them. If you have a story about what's going on for you, please send it to us at district1@nevadacountyca.gov. For the purpose of these questions, please refrain from long stories and focus on the question you want to ask Amy. She knows so much more than she even put in this presentation. So we want to make sure she gets a chance, you get a chance to ask her those questions. Do we have Erica or Carissa, do you have? Thank you. Okay, we've got hands over here and over here. Right there, right there.
I think everybody can hear me on the channel.
No, we're on Zoom.
You got it.
On Zoom.
Yeah.
So the wraparound policy, the DIC or whatever it's called, why is that doubling in cost in 1 year along with fire insurance and then doubling in cost another year? This is a wraparound, has zero to do with fire, but Bamboo and others seem to be using it as a way of raising funds. What are your thoughts on that?
So I did not know that. That would be a Department of Insurance. You know, they have a toll-free 1-800-927-HELP. That's a question for them. They regulate the rates. My sad fear hunch is that the DICs are surplus lines products that are not as regulated, but that's where I would go, DOI.
Okay, some more questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. How do you get the insurer that you have to increase the deductible? They've capped it and they won't raise it anymore, so I can lower my rates.
Well, that's interesting. I have not heard that one either. I mean, have you tried to get a quote from another insurer? What's the most they said they'd give you? 10?
7,500, he said.
That's really interesting. That I honestly, that's a new one. I have not heard that. I mean, and I'm going to tell you again, go to the Department of Insurance, or go to your state assembly or Senate. I mean, Heidi, this is a good one to bring, because can't think of any reason why an insurance company wouldn't let you have a higher deductible than 7,500. I don't know what that would be.
Talk to one of my analysts here and we'll follow up with you on that. And we'll make sure we get it. Thank you, Amy. Okay.
Yesterday, my insurance agent told me that there are no insurance companies writing new policies in our area. Zero.
Well, I would
So-
talk to another agent. I cannot believe that's true. It is possible. I don't want to say for sure, but my guess is that agent, remember how I said there's some quotas? Some agencies have a quota. It may be that their agency cannot write anymore. So I would try, another agent.
That, but he also said that there are no other companies writing policies.
So we know that some regulations are kicking in the beginning of the year, right, Amy? And so that the insurance companies are going to be required to start writing more. But that may be that there's a lull right now before that. What do you think of that?
It's
Amy?
possible. It's possible, but it's also possible that that agency doesn't want to lose your business. So they're going to put you with the fair plan rather than lose your business. It's possible.
More questions?
My understanding from the slides was that the CDI wants or is requesting an appeal process, but there isn't one at this point. Is that right?
Well, no, they've mandated it. It just, there's no like rules around it, right? They're just supposed to have an appeal process. But no, there hasn't been like a specific, this is one, again, Supervisor Hall, this is one of the concepts we've been kicking around with the legislature is like, well, maybe you should define what the appeal process should look like. Because all it says is they have to have an appeal process.
They have to.
They do. Right now, they have to. That doesn't mean, but it doesn't, there's no like details on who's the judge of the appeal and how long do they have to decide and all that stuff.
But it is possible to file one. It may just.
You absolutely should appeal and you should say, what were the criteria that were used to put this, to give me the score, and how does one improve one's score under this system?
Thank you.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Hi, Amy. The state of California legalized cannabis in 2016, yet if there's a home grower growing their 6 plants out back, or if there's a licensed cannabis farm, they are at risk of being denied claim for having cannabis on their land. What efforts are being done to shift this policy? And, that's my question.
Another good question. I have heard of insurers, using that as a reason. That's a new one. And just so everybody knows, up until we started having this crisis, we did not tell insurance companies who they had to insure and who, and we didn't, there were no rules, and there still aren't to say you have to offer a policy to somebody if they meet certain criteria. We're trying to get there, to say to insurers, like, you can't discriminate if it's legal. If there's nothing illegal going on, you can't, and if it doesn't increase the risk. But right now, there's not really a rule there, so, as Supervisor Hall said, in the beginning of the year, we are expecting the department to enforce a deal that they cut with insurance companies, that they have to write more homes in the WUI. You guys are in the WUI, Wildland Urban Interface. So it is possible that in the beginning of the year, it will be easier for you to get a quote. Again, I would go to the Department of Insurance with that. I don't think there's any, having a few plants is not an increased risk, especially if they're legal. So, but because the department doesn't really have the authority to force insurance companies to insure homes that they don't want, other than this deal about them writing more homes in the WUI, I'd say go to the department, try to find another insurer, and just try to work with them and explain these are recreational, it's not commercial. We have a watering system, because I mean, logically, it doesn't increase your risk, as far as I know.
I can appreciate coming here and learning more about how to navigate the waters of what's going on, but I was really hoping to walk out of here hearing about the solution that's going on in the government to lower the prices of insurance and to make sure everybody's insured.
Well,
I heard
I mean, I can tell you some of the things that are in the pipeline. I mean, there's a proposal, Adam Schiff has a proposal to create a federal insurance plan. That's a long way off. The commissioner has cut this deal that says insurers have to start writing more homes in the WUI. There's a mitigation discount regulation that was passed last year. That's why you can now get up to a 15% discount with a FAIR plan. So that's one thing that's actually no other state that I know of has mandated that, and we have. So these are all works in progress. I wish, like I said, I do not have a magic wand, but there's a lot of work going on to try to help you. Look, we've been relying on a for-profit industry now for a very long time. And now we're suddenly finding that is a problem, and we don't have the public programs in place yet. We have to build them.
So I'll add to that. That's part of why I'm involved at the state level. You all should be writing your state representatives and asking them to do something about it. There are dozens of bills in the state legislature this year. One, I helped try to testify to some groups of people who were trying to move it forward. It was the best one. It said, if you do the mitigation, you get the discount. It was killed. So it's still, you have to pressure people. We're going to continue to do that. Because the feds are farther behind than this state, even on trying to come up with solutions, but that's why we're trying to get this moving. So I see there's about 2 people in the back, there's somebody here, We're gonna have to wrap it up after, let's say, 5 more, so go ahead.
Thank you, I'll go quickly. So first I want to say, Amy and I am very grateful for this opportunity to talk and learn. I do want to share that there's no lack of information on home hardening and mental space. We really get it, we understand it. We're not given the funds to do it, particularly for middle class, so it's just something to think about. For my
Well,
particular situation, in
Can
2020,
you answer the question? Can you go right to the question for me? Because we got,
my question is that we're being priced out of market. I had a 37% increase in my insurance policy last year, it's being threatened at a 30% increase more. I'm currently at 86.96 a year. I
Hmm.
can't afford another increase, which I hear is coming. We've done everything right, and we're not getting any support, we're on a fixed income, which most of my cohorts are. We're getting priced out of our homes, it's the next housing crisis, and I don't think it's being looked at that way. Thank you.
yeah, we are aware of that. Thank you. Next question. And please please to write that up and send that in to us. These are the kind of stories we want to take with us and share.
Hi, I'm wondering, if in your experience, any of the communities that have been hit by devastating fires have seen a subsequent, drop in rates, because presumably they wouldn't be as susceptible to, major wildfires. And what motivates that question is wondering how much work, if we did a bunch of proactive work in our forests doing fuels management and prescribed fire, would that potentially change our rates here?
Definitely doing the prescribed fires, everything that you can do, we want to be doing, right? You know, we've got a little bit of a lag time going here. The insurance companies are still, and you know, what's happening, it's not just about wildfire risk. It's about global reinsurance prices and AI and insurtech. There's a lot of things that came together at the same time. So all you can do is all you can do in your community to make it less likely that homes are going to burn, and then to try to support progressive legislators that are trying to bring solutions, because we're starting from a deficit. You know, insurance companies were completely free to choose their customers, drop their customers, and suddenly now we're realizing we need to fix that, and we're trying to fix it. But it's going to take a little bit more time. And believe me, I feel your pain. I really, really do.
You've touched on this a bit, but it seems like we're fighting this at the local and state level. Should the pressure not be done in Washington to get a fix for all 50 states, since all of them are dealing with it, whether it's floods or hurricanes or whatever? Why is Washington moving?
I'm going to say like both
Push them.
both levels, right? We want to be getting as much money, and Congressman Thompson has got a good bill that we're supporting that would give you tax breaks for mitigation expenditures, as well as $10,000 per household grants, which is a start. There's money coming from, the Newsom administration has been pretty good with getting grant funding out. That's what our RAP Resource Center is about, trying to, tell you which grants are available. Some communities are floating bond measures to finance home hardening. Lots of experimenting going on. Unfortunately, we're all in this together, so I would say both fronts. I mean, getting anything done in Washington is not a short fix. So I would say, the California legislature, keeping the pressure on your elected officials. Like Heidi said, the bill that said that if you do these mitigation measures, that your insurer has to offer you a renewal policy, has been stuck. If we can unstick it, I think that would be good.
Yeah, and just what Amy's not saying is sort of understood among those folks is that, insurance is regulated at the state level, right? So when I'm advocating at the federal level, they're saying, we can't do anything about it. That's not our problem. So we're having to change their thinking on that too. I think we have one more back here, and then we're gonna have two more. Okay, then we're gonna have to wrap it up.
How can we get access to the information that was presented tonight?
Amy's gonna send me the PowerPoint, and you can write me, or we'll figure out how to put it up, or you can write me and I can send it to you. Also, the website that she talked about for United Policyholders has a lot of good information on there So I'd recommend that you scroll through there as well.
So since we're in the sixth largest economy in the world, in California, how can we leverage the California Fair Plan to lower their rates to put pressure on the current insurance providers that want to do business in our state? Because the California Fair Plan is setting an example of super high rates. The state has money, at least they think they do, to really do this right. How can we put pressure on the people that operate the California Fair Plan?
Amy, do you want to try to tackle that?
Well, the people that run the California Fair Plan are insurance company executives. So that's one thing you have to understand. You know, look, they've got that first approved discount, so that's a positive. And you know, you talk to different people, some insurance agents say you can get a better price through the fair plan than you can get from a private company. I have not found that to be true. I would just say, you know, keep on reading and following what's going on, stay in touch with your elected officials, and just, you know, look for the solutions that we're trying to bring. A lot of them are rooted in the mitigations that have to be done. And the more your community shows your commitment to risk reduction, the faster this crisis is going to get resolved for your community.
Thank you, and I will add that, in the time I've been looking at this and researching and speaking to people, I have to say, I would not want Commissioner Laura's job, because his first job right now is to keep insurance companies in the state. They can leave, they don't have to write anything here. He's trying to make it better and easier for them, like speeding up the process at the DOI. He's trying to keep them here and keep it from getting too high. But there are, you know, there are lobbyists big lobbyists that represent the insurance company. So this is a balance. That's why our voices have to be loud enough to push back against what's going on at the bigger level, higher level. So we're gonna wrap it up and let you go. Amy, thank you so much for taking all this time. We'd love to have you back sometime to go deeper in this for those folks who want to do that. But we appreciate everything you do, and you are free to go and hopefully still get some dinner.
No, thank you. And you know what? All I can say is hang in there. Better days are coming.
All right, thanks, everybody. Great topic. We could go on for hours, but right now we have some excellent folks to come up and talk to you about the newest and latest in wildfire mitigation. Greg Griesbach, Director of OES, and Chief Jason Robitaille from the Nevada County Consolidated Fire District. Welcome, guys. Take it away. Get out of here.
All right, I will go first. Thank you for joining us this evening. If we haven't met, or even if we haven't met, my name is Craig Griesbach. I'm the Director of Emergency Services with the Nevada County Office of Emergency Services. I'm here to talk to you mainly about wildfire preparedness. There are hopefully reminders for you, and this isn't new information, or if it is, hopefully it's informative for you, but also talk about some mitigation projects related to wildfire. So again, hopefully this isn't news to you. We are in the heat of fire season. So we need your help to be successful in this effort. You are the difference between catastrophic wildfire as the residents of our county, period. Smokey had it right that you are the difference between catastrophic wildfire. So knowing that, and Office of Emergency Services, we are full court press and educating the community, engaging the community. We're out at community events, we're putting up variable messaging board signs, we're posting on social media, anything and everything, emergency preparedness, from smoke safety, wildfire safety, evacuation safety, anything you can have to help keep our communities safe. So you should have received your 2024 Race to Go guide that's in the mail and was sent to all Nevada County residents this last summer. That is your everything preparedness guide, from checklists for your go bag, insurance tips, evacuation route information, and so on. So if you don't have a copy of that, or you didn't receive it, I have a bunch of copies with me tonight. I'm more than happy to provide that to you. Hopefully you're signed up for Code Red Emergency Alerts. That's our emergency alerting software. It's been in place for a lot of years now. Very effective. It's the first thing that we do when we alert our citizens for evacuations or any emergency response. So if you aren't signed up for that, or you need help or support checking how you are signed up, you can reach out to our office anytime, or reach out to 211 Connecting Point, as they're a great resource and a simple, easy number to remember. You need to know your evacuation zone. So when we're out at these community events, we give prizes and swag to folks that know their evacuation zone right off the top of their head. I have my kids take screenshots of our evacuation zone and their buddy's house evacuation zone. Keep that on their phone. Know what your zone is, because we're gonna reference that when we send out emergency alerts. Know your evacuation routes associated to that. Drive them during the day, drive them during the night, drive them during inclement weather, because when you have to evacuate, emotions are gonna be high and your brain's not gonna be working like it is today. So make sure that's muscle memory for yourself when those events do happen. And hopefully you do have more than one evacuation route, which I know some of you don't. Know your 5 trusted resources. So your family, friends, who's gonna help you if you have to evacuate or you need support? Who's close and far away? Because you may need to go somewhere to evacuate and stay for several weeks in the event of a larger fire. You may need to be able to help each other with fuel, if there's a PSPS or there's a winter event. You need to have those 5 trusted resources and check in with them regularly to make sure they're your biggest support base. Make sure your go bag is ready. Again, there's a checklist and a Ready Steady Go guide, but there's also a lot of resources available online. Download the Genesis Protect app. So Genesis Protect is the zone-based evacuation software that we use. Hopefully you all are familiar with. That Genesis came out with an app this past year that you can download and you'll get an alert if we change that zone. So what that means is when we alert the public, the first thing we do is change the status of an evacuation zone. We send an emergency alert through code red, then we send our other alerts through the federal alerting systems and software. So potentially if you're signed up for this app, you're going to be the first one to learn of an evacuation zone or when there's changes in your zone or in and around your zone. So also just you can stay connected with our Rating Nevada County dashboard or our trusted resources like UVanet, KNCO, KVMR. There's a lot of great resources. And if you aren't a part of our social media on Facebook, you can follow us, and there's a lot of that information on there as well. So I'll jump into a few projects happening now and into the near future. Thank you for all of you. I see a lot of familiar faces that participated in the green waste programs we had this last year, from bin drop-offs, free material drop-offs, storm cleanup projects along our evacuation routes. If it wasn't for all of your work and all our community's work, we wouldn't have made such a big accomplishment this last year. We invested a little over $600,000 with the leadership of Supervisor Hall and the board to provide these free resources to the community this past year. Our Firewise communities are working on micro grant projects and all the other projects they have going on. They are the biggest impact that we have throughout our entire community. We have more Firewise communities in our county than any other county or parish in the nation. And you do so much through your volunteerism. So if you don't follow our Facebook site and are interested in learning more about those projects and getting ideas, we post micro grant Mondays that highlight each Firewise community and their work, and you can learn a little bit more about your community. We're working on removing dead and dying trees along Old Downeyville Highway. This is a new project, something we really haven't done. Huge shout out to the Greater Champion Mine Firewise community and BLM. I mentioned this to you because it was really them that came to us with a shovel-ready project, and we were able to get creative with funding some removal of some of those trees along the highway. So I empower you to do the same. Reach out to us, connect with us. Let's build projects. Let's get work done together. We'll pick our ravine shaded fuel break project, which is primarily in Supervisor Hall's district. So if you aren't familiar with that area, essentially it's a space flanked by Highway 49 and 174. That project is happening right now. It's a fuel treatment project along evacuation routes and strategic ridge lines. So that project is through the environmental and regulatory compliance process right now. We're hoping to do some treatment over this next year. There was some mentioning along resources for home hardening. Those will be coming in that area here really soon. That's a building resilient infrastructure and communities grant that we were awarded, and we're in phase 1 of that. And within the next couple of years, we'll have a rebate program for homeowners in that envelope, around $20,000 rebate for home hardening improvements. So that'll be, again, not happening right now, but here in the near future. A few other just highlights is we initiated a agreement with, good neighbor agreement with the National Forest. So what that means is we'll be able to treat more property, put more money to work on the ground along our strategic evacuation routes on Tom National Forest land that much of Supervisor Hall's district is impacted by. Lastly, I will mention our evacuation study. We released it this past year. A lot of people still aren't aware of it, but it's available online, and it's a great resource regarding identifying the top 5 evacuation vulnerable communities. So it's important to mention Greenhorn, Banner Mountain, and Cascade Shores in this district are all in the top 5. So there's recommendations in there, priority roadways, and also an index, community index providing feedback for on the ground and commission priorities. So work with us. We'll be spending a lot of time prioritizing projects in those areas and the evacuation routes, because that has a lot of great up-to-date data and science that backs that up. So with that, hopefully that wasn't too long. I said the real reason is all of you is preventing catastrophic wildfire. Another huge reason is that we have the best fire districts and fire professionals in this county, period. I will put them against anybody in the state or the nation, all the way from CAL FIRE to our local districts that live here and know our local community. So with that said, I'll introduce Chief Robital. He's a very close partner in everything that we do, from prevention, mitigation to response. And they really embody what he says all the time: is service before self. So with that, Chief Robital. No questions.
Thank you, Clay. I appreciate it. I'm just going to take a few moments. First of all, I want to thank Supervisor Hall for the invitation, and what a good turnout this evening. As a fire professional, it's very encouraging to see this kind of turnout, and that you show that you're not complacent, you're engaged, and we are partners. We are your fire department, we're your neighbors, and really what we strive to be is that service before self. And one thing, I've been in Nevada County just under 2 years, and one thing that I think that the county does really well, it's about partnerships, it's about relationships. It doesn't matter what patch we wear. Our goal is when you call 911, we want to put water on the fire and air into lungs as fast as we can. All the fire districts locally adopt a concept of a drop boundary closest resource dispatching. So when you call 911, if Over Hill, for example, they may be a quicker response to an emergency into my own jurisdiction, and we will allow them to respond. And so it's more of a system approach. Our CAL FIRE partners also have the same philosophy here locally. We work extremely well with Chief Estes, Chief Hudson and Hack in some of our response procedures and moving forward. Local government, it's an exciting time right now. There's a lot of small fire districts, and we too are not susceptible or exempt from the impacts of fire insurance or insurance costs. Earlier last year, Rough and Ready is a small fire district and really was faced on shutting their doors. And you can only imagine the residents in that fire district, if a fire station was out of service, what happens to their insurance rates. And good luck once a firehouse closes, getting back and getting renewed. So one thing that we did is approach the county and the board of supervisors and worked out a plan to get gap funding to stand up that station. And currently Nevada County Consolidated and Penn Valley joint staff that station. And I think we had like 7 days to come together and work as a team with the county, and that would not be possible. So that's just an example of what we're doing here to limit the growth of those fires. When it comes to wildfire, it's not if, it's just when and how bad. And our goal is to keep wildfires small. And the one thing that we're doing that collectively, just to give you an exact example, is when there's a wildfire that starts and there's an ignition in Nevada County, I'm just going to give you an idea of how many resources are responding. And like I said, we don't fight fair. We will bring a gun to the knife fight. Currently, you'll have 3 chief officers, 2 from local government, 1 from CAL FIRE. We'll have 3 local government fire engines, 6 state engines, that's CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE with the smaller aircraft, that's their air attack, that's their supervisor in the sky. They'll launch that out of our Grass Valley Air Attack Base that we're fortunate to have here. There are going to be 2 air tankers. Those are the ones that do the retardant drops, about 1,200 gallons per drop. And then a helicopter, as well as 2 hand crews. Those are your inmate crews, or CAL FIRE has a CNA through the Army National Guard here locally. They're deployed, as well as a dozer. So those are the kind of resources. Our goal is to limit these fires or keep them 5 acres or less 95% of the time. And I'll tell you right now, if you see the firefighters like I do, they're training. A lot of them grew up here. They went to high school. It's personal, and I've seen demeanor change when the tones hit, and it's kind of letting we're telling a hunting dog sick them a lot of times, and that's the kind of aggressive approach that we want. So we're thankful for all our partners. I do want to mention my fire station's right here on Coyote Street. My fire marshal, Chief Mason. If you have any questions about your home or concerns, contact us. We'll do an on-site visit. It's a service that we offer. We can write letters, or also just give you some pointers on how to make your home safer. Or if you have any questions, we're here to answer at any time. Moving forward, something that we've done starting July is this last month I was the operation area coordinator for the whole county, and what that means is we started looking at the forecast, and when there's significant fires in the state, the region will contact us, and we have a lot of talent locally, and if we have ample coverage here, we will deploy to other fires. Currently, we have, I think, 12 members. The Park Fire, we have members of the incident management team up in the Boise incident. So one thing that we've done is we'll start looking at weather criteria, and this is what we've partnered with Cal OES. And if we meet certain criteria, we will submit a request for pre-positioning resources. And what that does is Cal OES, if approved, will fund additional fire engines, the cost for fire engines and staffing. At the beginning of the month, the holiday week, we had an additional 22 firefighters on duty and 6 fire engines standing by just in case there is a response that we can limit the growth. Also, there's a number of fire stations that once were volunteer stations that are dormant. We started pushing those pre-positioned resources in those dormant fire stations to have a better spread and deployment strategy to have quicker response time to limit the growth. So those are some of the things that we have done locally. It also allows surge capacity. So if a large fire hits, CAL FIRE that will respond initially, it will give us some additional capacity here locally. There's full breathing room if something were to happen. So that's just a glimpse of what we're doing. Another exciting thing is moving forward is we've identified a number of efficiencies in government and redundancies that we can eliminate through reorganizing and consolidating into one fire district. So right now, my fire district with Rub and Ready, Penn Valley, and Over Hill are looking at reorganizing into one agency. So you have one administrative basically system, and then pushing all those additional administrative costs down to boots on the ground. One of the challenges moving forward is a lot of our fire engines are staffed local government with 2 firefighters on an engine. What we're looking at is how we can bring 3, because the amount of production, the hose on the ground is pretty significant. So those are some of the things that just pertain to wildfire in regards to response that we're doing locally. And if you have any questions, stop by anytime. You're always welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you and Craig be willing to take some questions?
Sure.
Okay, do we have some questions? All the way to the back?
I have a couple of minutes.
Couple minutes. Oh, Gary, can we go do questions while we're on this?
I'm just adding real fast, I'll step down.
Okay.
Be out of the way. Thank you. Gary Nickerson, Mayor of Nevada City. And you're in our house tonight, so I thought I at least should take the microphone and tell you a little bit about what we're doing. We have set up a very robust fire protection plan, education, information. A lot of you, if you're in a city, you've heard that. We've completed over 1,100 property inspections. In the back is Evan McClenathan, who is heading our Office of Emergency Services. We're taking these very seriously through the wisdom of our voters. With Measure C, we developed a $900,000 a year ongoing budget. We also received a grant from the governor's office for $250,000 to do nothing but work across our neighborhoods to build out our fireworks communities. Also with us tonight is Lou Cece, and he and I co-chair the Fire Safety Advisory Committee. So we're very, very active on the front here in Nevada City. Have any questions, call Evan, he'd be happy to talk to you, and people actually like talking to you. So,
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm in the Spent Hill Firewise community, and in driving our roads to prepare to apply for the $20,000 grants that are coming up in a few months. There are a couple BLM properties, the top of Cement Hill, the old airport area. People have done a wonderful job. There's two BLM properties that lead right up there that are in terrible shape. How do I approach BLM? It's a problem.
Yeah, so
They're gonna take the whole
we're aware of those properties, with the leadership of Supervisor Hall years ago, actually, when we first started in this role. We started engaging BLM on trying to, establish a good neighbor authority agreement with them as well, which has been a challenge over the years. But we just met with BLM leadership, a few different times with a few different groups over the last month. And I just got an email last week that they want to move that forward, so hopefully make that a little bit easier. But reach out to our office, don't hesitate to do that, and see if we can connect you with some of the locals here that have been helping us with some pictures.
Well, I already did to Alex Nelson. Is that who I should go?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
We already know.
Yep.
Use that.
Quick, if you write a letter endorsing the fire safety of a property, does that have a favorable impact on the insurance policy?
Can you repeat that?
If the fire department writes a letter in endorsement of the fire safety of a property, does that have a good bearing on applying for your insurance?
I would think it would be helpful for a normal insurance company. I don't know if the fire agencies are doing that kind of work. Are you doing inspections?
The only letters that we're currently is during a real estate exchange, and during real estate exchange, our fire marshal will go out and make sure that they're meeting the criteria and that risk rate that Amy was talking about. Traditionally, it's been a shift change too. It's in the past, is everyone familiar with ISO, that rating? There was a criteria that basically rated our fire service on how well we deployed, how much equipment, and how much water we dumped. Also in the proximity of the fire station. That has gone away. We went from a ISO of 4 to 3 this last year, but unfortunately, a lot of the fire insurance providers are not using that score. So what I understand is that letter is one mechanism of improving their score.
Along the same line, the mitigation factors put out by the airplane plan, where do you interface in that? Identifying risk, or do you?
We don't.
So
Not for the fire district, right?
Generally, we don't. We enforce local ordinance and state law related to defensible space, and we provide communication when buildings and properties are complying with that, but it isn't specific to what your question is.
Greg, I think people can't hear this now, so I'd just like you to clarify one more time in this environment. Nevada County is in their regulation, 0 to 5 foot zone 0 needs to be clear of flammable material, is that correct? I know the certain fire districts really aren't pushing that yet. I just like that clarified for this crowd.
Correct. About a year and a half ago, the county adopted an ordinance or amended their ordinance for hazardous vegetation that adopted zone 0. So that's, basically 0 to 5 feet is non-flammable material. If you want more information about that, and dive a little bit deeper, you can reach out to our defensible space inspection team or go to our website, readynevadacounty.org, and we have a lot of information on that website and details and things like that.
I just looked at that app that you recommended, Genesis, and it has a super low rating, and people say that, some people are saying that doesn't work. And so, to notify them of fires in their area, and I just wonder if that makes you hesitant about depending on it, and what would be the best backup if it doesn't work as well as it's supposed to.
In generally with emergency preparedness, you never want to have a point of single failure. So this app again is not perfect, but I've used it several times and it's worked for me every single time. But again, that's why you stay engaged or sign up for Code Red. That's why we send out WIA messages with triangulate cellular systems, which is a part of the federal model of notification. This is why you're tuned in to apps like Watch Duty. This is why you tune into Happening Now, even at all of these things. That way you don't have to see flight failure. That's what I agree.
Maybe I don't know where to find this online, but it seems unless the media reports it, particularly with arson, we don't know what's causing these fires. Why is there a spot that says it's a lightning strike, it's a chain dragging on the pavement, it's a guy pushing a burning car over the hill? They think the arsonist down in the valley a few weeks ago, we hear about those. Is that what most of these are, or what's going on with the data?
A lot of times it's, well, if there's a wildland fire in this area, typically in our fire district, it's a state response area, so CAL FIRE leads that investigation. So some of the times we're insulated from that, the notifications. We do, when we get a cause, it's on the fire report, and we do report out what those causes are.
Okay, I want to thank you, Craig and Chief Robitaille, so much for spending your evening down here, and you all know how to reach them for. So we are about to wrap up. I'm trying to get back here so the camera works sort of properly. We are about time to wrap up, about 5 more minutes. I'm happy to stay after and chat with people. And I have updates I can give, but I'd rather open it up to additional questions about anything else going on in the county that we could respond to. We could go back to some insurance questions. I have been deep in this and can try to answer some of those additional questions if you'd like. Are there any other questions about anything at all? Rick?
Since this is so connected to our safety here, what's going on again with broadband? We're doing another survey with collecting data that we've already collected 2, 3, 4 times. Where is this going about? I mean, I've been talking about it for 6 years since I've been out here.
We have.
We've been getting to end of job.
We have, and it's been slow. There is some news. So the Nevada County's last mile round 3 awards will be announced this fall. And the focus of the last mile grants are to provide resources to the new and existing ISPs. As you know, that's what it's all about now, is either going directly to the local ISPs or through us to the ISPs. And you have probably heard that Nevada County Fiber was awarded a grant. If you haven't, so it's been recommended for the state federal funding account grant, which will be approved by the CPUC this month. That's a pro forma, so it's been awarded. It's $6.7 million to get 215 more homes on Bowner Mountain connected. And this is from Nevada County Fiber. They've completed 2 last mile broadband grants and recently completed the state CASF broadband grant. So this gives you a sense, $6 million for 215 homes. There's money coming down and it's going to get out there, but it's still piecemeal. And right now, apparently there is, concern at the federal level about where that further funding is going to be going. So we're continuing to move on it. There's still the funding out there, but, uncertain where it's gonna go from here.
On a related issue, we also don't have cell service, so we won't be able to get the notifications if we're being evacuated, if our internet that comes from 2 neighbors over goes out. Anything being done about that?
So there, all the hard questions are coming now. So we are actually, there's a plan to bring a number more, cell towers in for better connectivity for cell service. Neighborhoods are not happy about where those are going, so we're getting pressure to not approve them. And they aren't necessarily going in the best places. So this is an ongoing battle we have too, nothing new on that front. One piece of good news is, as you may have heard, we were concerned for a while that our our landlines were gonna be shut down, right? That the AT&T wanted to do that. Enough of us wrote letters, you all wrote letters, put phone calls in. They have now stopped that process. They are not gonna stop providing service or access to your landline, but they're in a study period now. So we need to stay alert, and we will be staying on top of that. It's obviously a huge issue for rural areas, for older folks who don't want to use cell phones, who can't use cell phones, where we don't have access. So that is a battle we will continue to be fighting.
Recently, there was a letter to the editor regarding the Loma Rica Ranch housing development becoming an issue with the air attack station. Does anybody know anything about what that's about?
I don't think that is accurate, but it is a city of Grass Valley issue. Any of my analysts have any more information on that, Jeffrey?
Okay, usually I'm the one who does the text, I apologize. Jeff Thorsby, Chief of Staff of the Board of Supervisors. I'm not aware of that piece, but I will say that you have the airport district, probably not district, the airport commission, which would provide any recommendations. So if the city, if there was a complaint on the development piece, it would go to the commission, but that development was required to review all those pieces. So I'm not aware of that. We will definitely follow up in those components, but I can guarantee you that the air attack piece is a very high priority.
Okay, yeah, okay, no, Rick, again, somebody in the back?
So right here. You already have it.
So we have our evacuation zones that we've got, how about our evacuation routes? You know, to get off the mountain, you got Idaho, Maryland, Gracie Road, you know, Pittsburgh.
So, do you mean like improving evacuation routes or adding evacuation routes?
Yeah, what is our? Where do we go?
So, we have a partnership with the sheriff's office. We have a sheriff's lieutenant that's embedded with our team because their mission is evacuations. So they will always tell you, we will not tell you where to go. We will provide you information where the event is and information to make an informed decision. But it's very hard to tell you where to go because even if we send out an alert to you, you may receive it 30 minutes later because of the cell service issue, and then the fire may have switched directions. So again, we're trying to provide you the most up-to-date information, and our focus is to try to do everything we can to continue to support and improve evacuation routes and potentially add evacuation routes. So that was a big component of the evacuation study that we did because it helped us identify some of what we already know, but added some additional priorities, especially at the neighborhood scale, to where we'll be focusing on improvements, not just with our team, but the Department of Public Works on maintaining them and the priorities for maintaining them, but also potentially adding second points of egress, potentially recommending going after funding to replace bridges or add bridges back, like for the UBEC community. So there's a lot of priorities in there, but again, it's hard to tell you where to go for evacuations, if that makes sense.
Okay, was there less?
Another easy one.
Okay, last one then.
In the PG&E town hall meeting a couple of weeks ago, they gave some, what I would describe as disappointing numbers about the number of miles they buried in the North County, as well as the plan for next year. How do we put pressure on them to do this faster? There's no sense of urgency. They're putting 100 miles in a year and they're saying, we're so proud of ourselves for the great job we're doing. Are we satisfied as county representatives? And what can we, no, seriously, I mean, you're laughing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so hard. Things like, the biggest questions I get are AT&T and PG&E and CPUC and Verizon and all the insurance companies, and it is so hard for us at counties to have an impact to change their behavior. So we, Craig could speak to this too, we partner really well with PG&E on some issues. They continue to be a huge frustration for us on other issues. So on the undergrounding, we have one undergrounding project that is going through the process for Red Dog. Is that correct? Red Dog. And that's from Rule 28 credit funds that have gathered for a decade. Just going out a decade or so. Thank you. But my understanding is they are not going to be doing any more undergrounding out here. I think they pulled back on that altogether and they're looking at other ways, other strategies to reduce the fire risk. That's my understanding. We meet with them regularly. Staff meets with them regularly. PG&E just came and gave an update to the board at the last meeting, so they come and talk to us. But it's another one of those big conglomerates. It's very hard for us to push on them. But I can guarantee you that at our level, at staff level, we work very hard to get them to do the right thing all the time. So, but we do what we can.
Well, for 5 years, they keep taking our rates up and saying, all this money is going to undergrounding, and none of it ever goes to underground. It goes to the executives.
They have a lot of expensive things on their plate, and they're making decisions that they don't always ask us. So I'm gonna close this. I'm happy to stick around for a little bit longer. I think we have this room a little bit longer to just talk to you individually, but I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. I want to thank our guests for speaking. Everyone.